Hi everyone, it's Steph from Toronto Fusion, and today I'm going to be talking about base running. Base running is important because that's how you actually score runs and win the game. You go from being a batter to touching the bases in order, normally with your foot, sometimes your hand if you're sliding or diving. And you have to do that, go from home to first to second to third, back home without getting out. So today I'm going to go over different ways you can get out, what a forced play is, and I'll summarize or go over the 3 things that you want to remember while you're on the base.
A forced play happens when the ball is hit and it's not caught before it touches the ground. The batter must run to first base. If there's already a runner on first, that runner on first has to then run to second base. If there's a runner on second, that runner is forced to run to third base, and the runner on third is forced to run home. In any of those cases, if the ball gets to the base before the runner does, they're out. If you're on second or third base and there's no runner on the base before you, then you don't need to run to the next base. That's because it's not a forced play. Say that you made it to first base and the batter hits a fly ball or hits a ball that gets caught. If it's caught, you as a runner have to make sure that you tag up. So if you're on first or if you're on second or third, any base that you're on, if the ball is caught, you have to run back to the base and tag it. If the ball is thrown back to the base before you get there, then you're out.
When you're running between bases, there's a few ways that you can get out. If the ball off the bat hits you, if you run into the player that's fielding the ball, and if you run off the base path, all 3 things would get you out.
If you're running the bases and the ball is hit, and it hits you before any of the defending team actually touches the ball, if you run into the player that's trying to field the ball, if you run off the base path to avoid a tag, the base path is the straight line between the base that you're at to the next base.
That's a lot to remember, but there's 3 things that I want you to keep in mind. First is when you have to run. If the ball is hit on the ground while it's a forced play, you have to run. If there's 2 outs, you also have to run if there's runners behind you. If the ball is hit in the air and there's 2 outs, if the ball is caught, the inning is over, so you're done running. But if the ball is not caught, you have to make it to the next base. The second thing that I want you to remember is when you don't have to run. So maybe you wait or you look to your coaches to see what they say. So that's if you're on base and the ball is hit in the air. You don't know if you don't know if it's going to get caught, you're going to have to wait because you might have to tag up and go back to that base you were at before. If there's no runners on the base behind you, it's not a forced play, so you don't have to run. If you do decide to run, they'll have to tag you in order to get out. That brings me to my last point, which is, unless the umpires have called time, always be aware of where the ball is. And if you're not on the base, be aware that you can get tagged out. So if you're trying to watch your coach, make sure your foot is on that base. Be aware of where the ball is and know that if someone tags you, you'll be out. So I hope these were helpful tips, and there's a few other ways that are more specialized where you could get out, and different running situations. For example, if you're a tying run or if you're on third base and the ball is hit deep into the outfield, you may want to stay at the base in order to tag up and run home, but we'll cover those in more detail in another video. Please provide any feedback and let me know if you have any other questions. Hope this was helpful.